And welcome to Watty and JR on the Edge. I'm Watty alongside JR, and like we said earlier, we're talking about the World Series, the Chicago Bears, Chicago Bulls, and the Chicago Blackhawks. How are we doing tonight, Joe?
Doing pretty good. A little bit under the weather, but
I'm really cold, man.
dude, man,
really cold.
I think it's hot in here, but
In here, yeah, maybe, yeah, it's a little toasty, but
I don't know. It's just one of the. It's that time of the year. Everybody's getting sick. And it's cold outside. But I mean, like, winter just really came up on us. Like, screw fall. We didn't even get winter. I mean, we didn't even get fall. We went straight to winter. So, it's just one of those things where we're in the Midwest, and that's what we gotta expect. So,
it is what it is.
yeah.
So kick it off here. Start talking about the Chicago Bears. Last week they lost 45-41 Redskins. A lot of injuries. A lot of reports on those injuries now. Well, first, Jay Cutler say he's going to miss about 4 to 6 weeks. Lance Briggs says he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. But, hey, get this. Brandon Marshall made a statement today and said, hey, Jay Cutler's only going to miss 2 weeks. That's my bro. What's your verdict on these injuries?
Well, for the Bears, it's probably the worst that could happen. You have your quarterback on offense and your quarterback on defense going down. It's going to be interesting. Josh McCown came in and did a really good job of filling in.
He played great.
He played some really good football.
Didn't he completed his first 4 out of 6 6 passes? Man.
I think he was like 15. I think he might have had like maybe 20. I don't know. I'd have to take a look real quick, but I mean I think he had over 200 yards passing. Just he had to get more than field goals to win that game.
204 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 14 for 20.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's to be honest, it's probably the best a backup quarterback has done for the Bears since Caleb Haney in the 2010 NFC Championship game. But
I mean, yes and no.
Right, but I mean, with Caleb Haney, they didn't game film for him. They didn't do any game planning for him.
Yeah, he just had to jump in.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Josh. And the thing is, a lot, Daryl Johnson, I think it's Kenny Albert that were doing the broadcast.
On Fox, yep.
On Fox, they said that looking at the playbook and the game plan, Josh McCown, you can't put him on the second tier. He's up there with Jay Cutler. They're buddy. They go through the same progressions, go through the same playbook and everything. And they pointed out how Trestman didn't have to go with a different direction with the playbook or the game plan. They stuck with the game plan they had for Jay, and Josh McCown really did really well. And the thing is, you got to spread the ball around. And I feel like with Caleb Haney and Jason Campbell last year, they were looking too much to Brandon Marshall and not at the entire offense. You look at that second half. It wasn't just going to Brandon Marshall. It was going to Alshon Jeffrey, going to Earl Bennett, going to Matt Forte, Michael Bennett or Martellus Bennett. Sorry. So you're seeing these guys, and they're producing.
Even Earl got a couple of looks.
Yeah, Earl got a couple of looks too, and these guys are producing, which is really, really good to see with this Bears offense.
One person I liked seeing out there. Now this game last week, man, this was so back and forth. One of the most back and forth games I've seen all season, outside of that Denver and Dallas game. Not this past couple weeks ago. One guy I've been sort of impressed with for jumping in there because of injury, because DJ Williams is Jonathan Bostic.
Yeah, he did have a really good game with the middle on Sunday. But I mean, we already knew that in the he had a phenomenal preseason. He just it's basically like what Tom Thibodeau says. We got injuries, but the next guy steps up. And I think that's perfect for the Bears right now.
And with him, and then as well as the one problem. Let me say this: people have been saying that the Bears' defense has been struggling. My feeling, and I think I might have touched on this last week too. The reason why is because there's no pressure up front really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your ends are doing okay. Where's Julius Peppers been though? He's been struggling.
He has been struggling. There have been a couple of games where he's made a difference. He does make a difference on that defensive line, regardless regardless of the stats. He makes an impact in the running game, and they may not get pressure on the quarterback as often, but what they do, like, you notice it right away. It was just this game against the Redskins when you have RG3 coming off that bye week. Boy, did he look good. He went 18 to 29, 298 yards, and 2 touchdowns with a pick. That's RG3 of 2012, and that's really tough when you have a scrambling quarterback like that. And the league in general is just becoming more of a quarterback's league in terms of the quarterback is able to run and do very well outside the pocket, and that's really what the Bears have been hinging on these past 10 years or so, where they've had that great great defense. Is the quarterback stays in the pocket, and now that we're getting more into the pistol offenses, the wildcat offenses, all these more run and gun offenses, it's a little bit harder now for the Bears, and they just have to adjust. But with Julius Peppers, it's just one of those things where he's there and he's trying to do the best he can, but he's also getting older as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You look at it with all these injuries now, and with Lance Briggs not being on that defensive front, which is going to be kind of rough. But with Josh McCown though at the quarterback and with the receivers, I know we're in the bye week, so there's no games coming up. But obviously, next game's Green Bay. How do you feel about with Josh McCown being in the backfield, being the QB during this game, and our defense losing Lance Briggs?
I'll be honest with you. Offensively, I don't see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why is because Green Bay doesn't have Charles Woodson anymore, and Clay Matthews is out for sure. So, those are 2 guys on that defense that really made a difference. Even if they were on there, I still think Jay Cutler, with the offensive weapons he has now and the offensive line that can actually protect him, I think they would have been fine against Green Bay's defense. It's the offense I'm scared about. Losing Randall Cobb and Jermichael Finley, and then also James Jones for these next, from last week, and then this week, and possibly the game against the Bears on Monday night. That really depletes their offense. It really does. Now they really only have Jordy Nelson, catching balls, outside the hash marks.
Boy, is he getting targeted.
Oh yeah, like fantasy. If I'm a fantasy owner of Jordy Nelson, I'm jumping for joy because he's the most healthiest player right now on the wide receiving course of the Packers. So defensively, the Bears without Lance Briggs, you saw it. They were a lot more. It was a lot more inconsistent in the way they stopped the run. Given it's also RG3 as well, who's who can also run with the ball very, very, very well. So, with Aaron Rodgers, I think they know him enough where they know what he's going to do, and we'll just have to see what happens. They just have to study up really hard. They've got a couple of days off here, and over the weekend they'll get back at it and start preparing for the Packers. So this bye week couldn't have come at a greater time. It really couldn't have.
Yeah. So anyway, with the Bears and the outlook, hopefully it won't be too bad. Thank God for the bye week. It sucks that those guys get injured, but maybe Brand Marshall will be right. Maybe he will be back in like 2 weeks.
And and I saw that, I was like, I could kind of see it happening. You had these now. Well, okay, let me ask you this: Do you think he meant 2 weeks after the bye week, or 2 weeks as in like just the bye week done, and then he plays Monday night?
Oh,
like that's the thing I don't understand. Is did he mean that, or did he mean 2 weeks after the bye he'll be back?
Well, they said 4 weeks for him altogether, right?
Yeah,
4 to 6. So I think he meant 2 weeks for this week, and then I think I think that's what he meant. I don't think he said he'd be ready for Green Bay, did he?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't read the article.
I just saw the quote.
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to pull it up right now. If so, like that would be amazing. Because a torn groin is nothing to really shy away from. I mean, we saw Derrick Rose 2 years ago before he tore that ACL. How it really impacted.
How lingering that was.
Yeah, and we're seeing it now with Joakim Noah. With him, he's not doing anything basketball related. He hasn't been doing anything basketball related for the past week, and now he's questionable for the opener on Tuesday. So, they're not. It's not anything to really mess around with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading here that Jay Cutler said, or Brandon Marshall said, I predict Jay Cutler will be back in 2 weeks. They say 4 to 6 weeks, but right now we have the right people around Jay right now, so we'll get it done. 2 weeks. I don't know. I have a really hard time believing that, considering Phil Emery came out and said it's 4 to 6 weeks. But I've never had that excruciating pain.
It's Brandon Marshall's mind games or something.
I don't know, man. It's one thing. It's one thing good for him to be optimistic about it, and I feel like that's what you have to do in the situation. But you also have to be realistic as well. As I don't think Brandon Marshall's had that type of injury before. Hopefully, knock out wood, he doesn't. But a torn groin is nothing to mess around with. That's got to be a really painful injury.
Yeah. So I mean, like we said, I guess we'll see what happens with all of it, and roll from there, and hopefully they heal up, and hopefully these guys will be ready when we play Green Bay. So
yeah,
great, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, realistic. Like I'm just glancing over this article real quick. The Bears are 2-6 without Cutler.
Yeah, it's
since
bad.
Since he came to the Bears in 2009,
and he hasn't won in Green Bay. I don't think.
I don't think he has.
So maybe it's a good thing he isn't playing on Monday night.
I don't know. We'll see. If we get the good Green Bay
Monday
defense, it'll be trouble for the Bears. But
yeah,
I think it'll be a very evenly matched game. You're fighting for first place in the NFC North. So we'll see what happens. It'll definitely be very, very interesting.
Yeah. So with that, you want to take a break, Joe? Here, we'll take a break, and then we'll start getting on about the World Series. Boston whooped the Cardinals last night 9-1, and they are up 1-0 in the series. We'll talk about that here in a bit. So stay tuned.
I didn't hear what you were saying. I live on all emotion, baby. My answer
Cardinals are up 1-0.
How are they?